Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 28 female, left my husband, 29 male, on our wedding day. And now I'm questioning if I was in the wrong. We've been together for 5 years and engaged for 1. Throughout our relationship, there were moments of doubt, but I always brushed them off, thinking it was just pre-wedding jitters. Our family and friends were excited, and the planning went smoothly. My husband is a charming and charismatic guy, and everyone seemed to adore him. The wedding day itself started off beautifully. The weather was perfect, the venue was stunning, and everything was going according to plan. I felt like I was living a dream as I walked down the aisle towards him. The ceremony was emotional, and I was overwhelmed with joy and love as we exchanged our vows. After the ceremony, we moved to the reception. The venue was decorated with twinkling lights, flowers, and everything I'd ever dreamed of. As the evening progressed, everyone seemed to be having a great time. There were speeches, toasts, and lots of dancing. I felt so happy and blessed, thinking about the life we were about to start together. However, during the reception, something happened that changed everything. I went to the bridal suite to freshen up and overheard my husband having a conversation with his best man just outside the door. At first, I thought it was just typical guy talk, but then I heard him say something that made my blood run cold. He was laughing and joking about how he was only marrying me because it was the right thing to do, and that he wasn't sure if he truly loved me. He mentioned that he felt trapped by our family's expectations and didn't want to disappoint them. My heart sank. Here I was, thinking we were starting a new chapter of our lives based on love and commitment. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It felt like a punch to the gut. I stood there, frozen, as they continued talking. My husband said he hoped he could grow to love me, and that maybe marriage would fix things. His best man didn't seem shocked or surprised, which made me think they'd had this conversation before. Devastated, I decided to take a moment to myself and process what I'd just heard. I went back to the bridal suite, tears streaming down my face. That's when I saw his phone on the dresser, buzzing with notifications. I know it was wrong, but in my state of shock and hurt, I picked it up and unlocked it. What I found next was a complete shock. There were texts from another woman, someone I didn't recognize. They had been seeing each other for months, and the texts were explicit. She was congratulating him on the wedding, but also expressing her frustration that he was going through with it. There were photos, intimate messages, and even plans they'd made to meet up after our honeymoon. My hands were shaking as I read through the messages, feeling like my world was collapsing around me. I felt betrayed and humiliated. Not only did my husband have doubts about our marriage, but he had also been cheating on me. I couldn't face the rest of the evening, pretending everything was fine. I needed to get out of there, to clear my head and figure out what to do next. So, I quietly left the reception and went to a friend's place, where I stayed the night. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just needed to get out of there. The next day, my phone was flooded with messages and calls from family and friends, all confused and worried. My husband was frantic, apologizing, and saying he didn't mean what he said, that it was just nerves and stupid banter. He claimed he was intoxicated, and that his words were taken out of context. When I confronted him about the texts, he broke down and admitted to the affair, saying it was a mistake and that he wanted to make things right. Our families are split. Some think I overreacted and should have stayed to work things out, while others support my decision to leave and reevaluate our relationship. I met with my husband a few days later to talk. He looked genuinely remorseful and kept apologizing, but I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. He admitted that he had doubts, but insisted that he loved me and wanted to make our marriage work. I told him I needed time to think, and since then, I've been staying with a close friend while I sort through my emotions. Now I'm torn. Did I overreact by leaving on our wedding day? Should I have confronted him then and there? Or did I do the right thing by taking a step back to gather my thoughts? I felt guilty for leaving in such a dramatic way, but I also feel justified in needing time to process such a huge revelation. Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband on our wedding day? OP caught a freshly minted husband talking about her like she's an obligation, and she found months-long affair receipts. That's not cold feet. That's a full-blown iceberg. Anyone calling OP dramatic is downplaying how grimy this was. OP didn't ruin the wedding. He did the moment he chose to cheat and joke about it with his best man. And now let's hear the community's opinion. I get why you bolted. Fight or flight kicks hard when trust detonates. But ghosting the relationship guaranteed maximum fallout. Vendors, parents, guests, all left confused. Could you have pulled him aside, exposed the texts, and nixed the party together? Maybe. Still, the core issue is his duplicity, not your exit strategy. If you ever consider reconciliation, insist on individual therapy for him, couples therapy for both, and full phone transparency. Otherwise, you're signing up for a lifetime of whiplash. From a legal perspective, annulment clocks vary by jurisdiction, and consummation plus cohabitation can complicate things. You left before either happened. Smart. Also, joint gifts and wedding expenses. Track every dollar. Courts sometimes treat them as marital property, sometimes not. Talk to an attorney now, so you're not stuck splitting his and hers cutlery with Captain Commitment issues. He's 95% the a-hole for cheating and trash-talking you. You get 5% for reading the phone. Yeah, understandable, but still a privacy breach. And for disappearing without a heads up to anyone who might have worried you'd been kidnapped. That said, marriage is built on trust and communication, both shattered before the first dance. You're allowed to call a timeout. Whether you try to rebuild is up to you. But don't let sunk-cost wedding guilt push you back to a guy who treated your vows like a safety net he might grow into. Update. Basically, his family knew about the affair all along and said it wasn't his fault, that I wasn't pleasing him good enough in bed. So I blocked his whole family, and I got everything of his out of my house and told him to come pick it up. So all his expensive stuff was left outside overnight in the rain. So he tried to sue me for damages, and he took me to court, but failed, because I had all the evidence that he cheated, and evidence that I told him all his stuff was outside, and that he failed to pick them up. Then, a couple of days later, I was about to out what he did online and somewhere other than Reddit, unless he paid my family for the cost of the wedding, and they did, and I haven't talked to him since. And now I'm dating my best friend, and we're happy living together with a pet dog. And by the way, she is a girl. And mind you, my ex-husband's family is homophobic, so they keep contacting me through mutuals to harass me and my girlfriend. So we're trying to get a restraining order against his parents and him. So wish me luck. And there might be another update, but that depends on if anything else comes up. My 22 male, ex 34 female, Lori, got pregnant and gave birth 3 months ago. It was presumably mine, but I doubted from the start because I had a vasectomy as soon as I turned 18, because I didn't want any kids. I consulted with a few doctors here, and they said vasectomies were naturally reversible, and if she said the kid was mine, it might be. They said I could do a paternity test to make sure, even said we could do it with her being pregnant, but Lori refused. I said I wanted to do a paternity test as soon as the child was born, but she tried to convince me that it wasn't necessary, that we could start a family, that the kid could have my name, but refused, and said that if the kid was mine, I would pay child support, but I didn't want to have anything to do with them because I never wanted to be a father. She became mad, threatened to sue me and such, to destroy my life. I said I didn't give a crap, and that I'll be back to do the paternity test once the child was born. My family, specifically my parents, became closer to her because they're thrilled to have a grandchild. My sister is unable to have children, and my other brother also had a vasectomy a few years ago. They used to berate me for not being there for Lori, called me a disappointment among other things. When the child was born, it was very obvious that it wasn't mine, but I still did the paternity test and came back negative. Lori begged. She didn't know who the father was. She couldn't do it alone. She loved me and blah blah. I blocked her on everything and moved on. Thing is, my parents are still in contact with her and say the kid is mine and hence their grandson, even when they know it's not. Some neighbors think I abandoned the kid because of that, and yesterday they said they'll invite Lori to live with them. I had enough, so I said if she moved in here and they continued to keep a relationship with her after she basically tried to trick me into parenthood and threatened me, it was over for us. I'll go no contact and move as far as I could. My mom cried and my dad quickly disinvited Lori, but they called me a monster and a pendejo, which might be an a-hole. So am I the a-hole for making them choose? Not the a-hole. Your parents are grasping at any chance to be grandparents and are living in a fantasy horror movie. Please talk to them calmly and let them know that you're trying to protect them because you love them. Wishing that baby is their grandchild isn't going to make it true. In time, they'll realize that. If not, then going no contact is probably the best. Not the a-hole. Just because someone else wants kids and grandkids doesn't mean you have to go along with their BS. And if having grandkids means more than having a relationship with your actual kids, then, well, you know how much your mother loves you. Your father is the only one of the three with some damn sense. If they want grandkids that much, maybe they should help your sister adopt. I recommend from foster care, or explore other options like IVF, surrogacy. But they need to leave you, your brother, and any delusional baby mamas alone. Long story short, we were together for 10 plus years. Last 2 years, she broke up with me 4 times. After the first time, I moved out, and we lived separately. And that's when there was a shift in dynamic between us. She apologized for blindsiding me, then did it again 3 times. She started to ask for money by emotionally extorting me. She played sad if she needed the money, moped around, didn't want to see me until I caved. The last time she left me, it was via text message, and that was it. She ignored me ever since. She told me that she got over me while we were dating and acknowledged that it's a cold move, but that's how it is. She claimed she wanted to be single and could not imagine being in a new relationship. Started dating a new guy 2 months after the breakup. She left me when I was incredibly ill and started a rough, life-threatening therapy. Now, why I'm talking to a lawyer, when we broke up, I mentioned the money part. She owes me $30K. Yeah, that's how much I lent her in 2 years, and she got angry. She said that she lost all the love for me because I mentioned the money part. Also, supposedly, she'll return everything. She didn't mention any numbers, in a year, and I didn't confirm nor reject the proposal. I know she is in a tough place and didn't want to burden her with this as well. Then a friend told me that her new boyfriend is driving around in a car I basically paid for. I felt like a total idiot. I confronted her about this and she got defensive. Firstly, partially denying it, even if I had a new boyfriend. Then trying to make me regret calling her out on it. The way you jump to conclusions confirms I did the right thing by leaving you. And then finally confirming it. It wasn't the next day, it was after 2 months, and I told you I got over you when we were still together. Mind you that she borrowed $4K 2 weeks before she left me. I mentioned the money part again and she got angry. Yeah, you'll get every cent of it. I asked her if I should email her all the transactions, and she said that I don't have to. She knows how much she owes. Weird, I hope we have the same number in mind. I contacted one of the best lawyers here, and they're about to send her a mail. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like a piece of crap, like some childish ex-boyfriend. But at this point, I don't know what else to do. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Not the a-hole. Unless you are a multi-millionaire, $30K is a lot of money. Also, she sounds like a narcissistic manipulator, using men to supply her lifestyle. You being unhealthy certainly did jive with the extortion she was hoping to get from you. Take her for all she's worth. Do not let her get away with being a thief. Not the a-hole, but a lawyer costs money, and unless you are fully covered for that sort of thing, you could end up short a lot more than $30K, even if she gets ordered to pay back the $30K. If she does not have the money, she cannot do that. How much is on paper, else she can just claim it was a gift, and good luck proving it was not. And with proving you loaned the money, and it was not, say, half the rent, a payback for money she got you in cash, etc. If you doubt you will win, or winning will not get you enough money back, it might be better to let it go. The divorce is final, and honestly, I'm not expecting to see a dime of what I provided him during our marriage. Legally, I'm not entitled to compensation for this because of how divorce works in my state. I'm in a community property state in the United States. I just want to see if people think, from a moral standpoint, that he should pay me back. So, the details. When my ex was in medical school, I thought nothing of supporting him through it because, as a married couple, I saw my money as his money and vice versa. In time, he would have eventually become the main breadwinner as an attending physician, earning more than twice my annual income, potentially 3 to 4 times as much. In the long run, he would have made up for what I gave him many times over if we had stayed together. I went into this with the mindset that he already was the breadwinner, since he stood to earn significantly more money than me. I deferred to him and allowed him to be fully in control of our finances, even though I was the one earning all the money. Obviously, I regret this now, as he abandoned me before completing his residency. I provided for him at a huge cost to myself. I couldn't find work in my field in our city, so I had to move elsewhere and pay for 2 separate apartments for us, 2 separate electric and internet bills, etc., and all the gas mileage for traveling to spend the weekends with him. It was similar to the expense of a parent supporting a child attending college in a different city. I was frugal for myself, but paid not just for what he needed, but also the things he wanted, like vacations, that he took without me in some cases, and funding for various hobbies. At the time of our divorce, he had practically nothing, not even his income as a resident physician, since he was on leave of absence. So I was owed nothing from the divorce, in spite of the fact that he was progressing towards a high-income career. In fact, he could have sued me for nearly half of what money I had and half of my retirement, but I lawyered up to prevent that. It was a huge financial loss for me and a total win for him, not to mention my devastation from being abandoned, used, and probably cheated on. I know this isn't an unusual story. Many people get taken advantage of by their partners in this way. Tough luck. I chose poorly in marrying my ex and being subservient to him. That's life. Still, I think if he were a decent person, he would offer to pay me back, even though he's not legally required to. I think the law is unfair in this case. I would sue him to pay me back through future earnings if that were possible. Is it reasonable to feel this way? Or am I being too entitled? You paid for his med school and never talked about being compensated in return for it. So it's not entirely fair for you to expect to be paid back. From a moral standpoint, he would be an a-hole not to pay you back what he could. But that's on him. If you gave him money expecting anything in return, that's your fault. Don't give people anything with the expectation of a reward, or you will find yourself often disappointed. I think it's completely reasonable to feel used and to wish he would pay you back for all you've invested in him. Even people who didn't put their exes through medical school feel cheated that they can never get back the time they invested in their partner. So it's understandable that you're frustrated at never getting back your monetary investment either. Your best bet is to probably get therapy that will help you process and move on from the unfairness of your situation. People who are cheated in life and never made whole still need to find a way to move on from the pain and regret, and be happy. My ex Sue was from a well-off family, me not so much. We got along great and things were progressing smoothly. 2 months ago, her older sister announced her engagement to what I thought was a decent guy. We've met them a few times. I could tell Sue wasn't fond of the guy, but nothing dramatic ever happened either, to my knowledge. Sue was mad at her sister, so she goes on some tangent and blurts out, "How could she think that guy could ever make her happy? He's just a pathetic loser who didn't even go to college and is working as a low-life servant. The guy works in construction." The way she talked about this guy really rubbed me the wrong way. My dad worked in construction and did his best to put me and my sister through college. I'm very successful, but I owe it all to my dad. For her to judge someone because of his job just repulsed me. I asked her what she meant, and I think she realized, so she started backtracking and claimed my dad was an exception, and that most construction workers weren't like my dad, so I shouldn't take it personally. Her sister needs a man, not a boy, to take care of her, and his income wouldn't be enough for them to have a family. I didn't realize she judged people based on their salary. I realized we had different values and broke up with her. We have mutual friends, and they've been giving me a hard time about this. They think I misunderstood Sue, and she didn't mean to insult me or my family. She's just looking out for her sister's best interest, and that it's normal for women to want a partner that can provide for them. They think I am exaggerating and letting a good thing go because of my insecurities. Am I at fault? Would like to see other perspectives on this. You are free to break up with someone for any reason, any at all. And honestly, you probably saved yourself a lot of trouble in this case. Different backgrounds don't mean instant compatibility. But she showed her colors to you, and you trusted your gut. Good for you. Sue is classist and gross. I'd never marry someone who called anyone, a low-life servant. What the duck? Sue's a low-life condescending snob. Now, your friends are wrong. It's not about your supposed insecurities or her accidentally insulting your family. On that note, would she have backtracked and apologized if you hadn't said anything? Probably not. This was about a basic lack of respect for people beyond a specific social sphere. You can't unsee that kind of inner ugliness once it's been revealed. Oh, and please tell your friend to drop it. It's none of their business. And if your ex wants to get back together, she should do her own damn dirty work. I got divorced 2 years ago from my spouse of 10 years, Anna. We had an incredible relationship before. She identified as bisexual. We had an open relationship, and the divorce was unfortunately contentious. From my understanding of the situation, which is admittedly limited to what my Anna has disclosed, her new wife, Betty, came on to her while they were co-workers, divorced her husband, Jim, for Anna, and Anna immediately did the same. I've never met or spoken to Betty. Anna and I have always been in open communication, even after she moved out. We have had a friendly relationship despite the sad nature of where the relationship went. She moved about 500 miles away from where we lived before, but still has family up here. She is planning a visit soon and asked if I wanted to get a coffee and catch up and meet Betty. I agreed, but on the condition that Betty reach out to me directly and apologize to me for interfering in and helping end my marriage. I think this is reasonable and healthy to request to move forward with the friendship. Anna has apologized sincerely to me before, and this is the final component. I requested as such and said that it didn't have to be overly self-flagellating or grand, that I just wanted Betty to acknowledge some responsibility for the role she played. Both of them think this is incredibly unreasonable. Anna thinks that Betty doesn't need to because Betty isn't going to be my friend. And Betty doesn't think she needs to because it wasn't all her decision, and that Jim was able to move on without this. Betty also says she refuses to apologize for her sexuality, which isn't really the issue at hand. I'm puzzled, because I think this is sort of an ad hoc type of restorative justice resolution to the issue. I want to have my harm acknowledged before I can move forward, and I think it's pretty ducked up that Anna has validated my harm, but Betty, who essentially drove this idea, refuses to acknowledge I've been affected by it. Am I being unreasonable? I think it's weird that this unknown, unseen force of a person exists in my life and that we've never interacted. I think it's appropriate to have the interaction start with an apology. I'm not going to hurt or sue or get angry at Betty, and I've reassured Anna to this extent. But this feels like a necessary step to moving past what happened and giving me closure. I said that I didn't ever want to meet Betty if she wasn't able to talk to me like an adult and admit her part in this, and Anna called me immature. I see this as a huge red flag for them both now, but I still wanted to put it out there to see if either of them would be amenable to considering it. If you have to ask for an apology, chances are it's not a real apology. She's not going to mean it, so why are you asking to be lied to? It's not going to make anything better. You're better off going no contact. Stop being friends with Anna. She's your ex. She cheated on you. Heck, it wasn't all Betty. Your divorce was contentious. Move on emotionally. Just tell Anna you've reconsidered the situation and you don't want a continuing friendship with her. Then block her. That's a little immature, but why should her opinion on your maturity even matter? Betty didn't cheat on you. Your ex did. Fact is, your wife was the one who broke a vow. Betty never made any promise to you. Not saying what she did was okay, but blaming her for your ex-wife's decisions and actions is probably why they are feeling put off by this. You're talking about dredging up the past when they have clearly moved on. It sounds harsh, but your unresolved emotional wounds over your divorce isn't their responsibility.